Hi, everybody. Welcome to From Compassion to the Conversation. I'm your host, Mike Downer, and I'm here with Ryan Frederigill, owner of Henderson's Funeral and Cremation Care. Ryan is a second generation funeral home director. How are we doing today, Ryan?
Good, Mike. Hope you're well and your family too.
Everybody's doing great. So today, Ryan, I think that what we wanted to talk about is how much a funeral really costs in the Des Moines area. So what I wanted to ask you is what is the actual cost of a funeral or cremation in the Des Moines, Iowa area, and what options are available at different points?
Yeah, Mike. So the average cost in the Des Moines area, bottom line, everything included, would be about $13,500. And I can kind of break that down for you. There's going to be three different costs associated with a funeral in Des Moines. One would be considered the service fee from the funeral home. The other would be like the cost, like the casket, the vault, the print package. And then lastly, we call them cash advances. So they would be pass along expenses. A lot of times we put those right on the funeral bill. If we're paying the cemetery to buy a plot, if we're going to pay for the opening and closing, there's typically a vault delivery fee. And then from there, flowers, minister, musicians, any food costs too for a luncheon to follow or a repast to follow the actual service. So that on average is about 13,500 here at Henderson's Funeral and Cremation Care. We have the ability to be a lot less than the average, kind of more of the affordable Des Moines funeral home option. We do offer option a funeral package with our service fees, with a casket and the grave liner for the vault, the print package. All of that would be $6,995. By the time you do add in some of those other cash advances, you're going to see the bill anywhere from, you know, $8,000 to $11,000, still significantly lower than a lot of other Des Moines funeral homes.
Very good. And cremation on average?
Cremation, yeah, on average in Iowa is $3,500. Here in the Des Moines area, again, Henderson's Funeral and Cremation Care is going to offer the most affordable cremation in the Des Moines metro. And so our cremation fee is $895. The medical examiner does charge $75 for a cremation permit. And then we do have a little bit of a basic service fee of our funeral director and staff. That's $325. So in total, complete cremation in Des Moines is $1,295.
Wow, that's a really significant difference. So how do national average funeral costs compare to what families in Des Moines end up actually paying?
So the national average funeral cost is going to be about $8,000. Iowa
Okay.
tends to be a little bit more on the expensive side. And again, you know, correlating wise, we just don't have the population and the volume to keep our numbers down. The more you can serve, the lower your overhead can become to then pass that cost on to individual families. But Iowa does tend to be a little bit higher on the funeral service side. Des Moines tends to be a little bit higher on the funeral service side as well.
Oh, that makes complete sense. So, hey, Brian, I was wondering if you can walk us through Henderson's pricing structure from direct cremation to full service and traditional burial options.
Sure. Henderson's Funeral and Cremation Care, we offer a wide variety of services. We could sure offer anything from having a full funeral followed by cremation. You could have cremation only. You can do a funeral with a casket and a vault and a burial somewhere. And again, we proudly serve veterans too, and a lot of times go to the veteran cemetery with some of those options here in Iowa. So that's a great option there too. Cost wise, it really does just depend on what the person and the family wants or need. You know,
You
we
bet.
sit with everybody, we talk them through and listen to what they want, and then try to, give them the most affordable funeral package in Des Moines or affordable cremation package in Des Moines, and still serve them with care and dignity and take good care of their loved ones.
Very good. So, what's typically included in each funeral package, and where do families have room to personalize some services?
Absolutely. So each funeral package, if you're talking Our actual funeral packages, we have four of them out there, and you're talking going to
Okay.
be kind of a less expensive casket and the grave liner. The next package up is going to have a ceiling casket and a ceiling vault. Again, no right or wrong with any of those. It's just personal preference, what the family likes. And then kind of the more expensive packages are going to include a limo, include the Escalade for family pickup, taking to the church, taking them home after. From there, you're going to get a much nicer casket and a much nicer vault too. When it comes to personalization of funeral services here in Des Moines, we can get custom caskets, we can get custom head panels for the casket. We've started using a little bit of a more of a full couch as well. That some families have liked that on a casket. What a lot of people don't understand is that means the casket has one lid versus two, so you can see their entire body. Personalized flowers, really kind of tailor the memorial folders or the printed obituaries directly towards the family. We've done a lot of custom of those. So really whatever the family needs for funeral service or cremation service here in Des Moines, Henderson's Funeral and Cremation Care is happy to help.
Sounds like you have everything covered, and I know that during that time of loss, the personalization sometimes can make all the difference in the world.
Without a doubt. Yep.
So, Ryan, let me ask you this because it is a stressful time in people's lives, and it's one of those things that nobody wants to deal with. We all have to, and sometimes you tend to look things over, and you know glance at stuff and not really notice everything. What are some of the hidden cost families should be aware of that other funeral homes might not clearly explain?
Correct. So there are some funeral homes out there in Des Moines that charge to write an obituary. There's some funeral homes out there that charge extra for what a person weighs when you cremate them. Some funeral homes charge to make an arrangement with a funeral director at a funeral home. We don't have those hidden fees. What we kind of tell people is we like to keep it simple. We don't like to nickel and dime people in their time of need. We're upfront, open and honest about our pricing. And then we do offer financing if there's any families that do need it. We also kind of have some payment plan options that would be available through that financing as well.
You bet. So how does Henderson define affordable? And can you explain to me why that doesn't mean compromising dignity or quality of care?
Right. So again, if you're looking at options in the national averages and also even the Iowa averages, we tend to be significantly lower, putting us in the affordable option. In a traditional funeral home or traditional funeral with a casket and a vault, we're going to be about $2,500 less than some of our competitors, if not more. So to me, that does make us the affordable Des Moines funeral home because we are less expensive. Just because we're less expensive does not mean that it takes away any dignity or care of their loved one with us. We pride ourselves in presentation of the individual. We do a lot of different reconstruction techniques and services, so people have that good viewing experience. We've kept individuals for a significant amount of time and still be able to have that open casket, whether there was trauma involved or whether they just had a need to wait to get the rest of the family here to honor their loved one.
That sounds like you have great options, and the quality of care is very important when it comes to that time in a family's life. Um, so Ryan, let me ask you this: what should families look for when comparing funeral home prices, and how does the general price list help with transparency?
Sure, absolutely. It's comparing apples to apples. And so, one casket at one place, get a very similar casket at the other place if you're really
Hmm.
comparing. There's different levels of caskets. There's going to be your metals, there's your woods, there's your precious metals. It doesn't make any sense to compare a pricing of a copper casket to a 20 gauge casket that does not seal. There's a big difference in the price range there. So when you are comparing funeral homes, make sure the print package might be included or what the print package is going to cost, whether they charge to write an obituary, whether they charge to have a meeting with a funeral director. All of those things really do add up. And again, we try to keep very simple, very honest, very open pricing with everybody. But general price list is kind of what funeral homes are required to do is everybody does have a price list. And again, those price lists should have all of those other fees laid out on everybody's pricing.
Perfect. Yeah, that does that does help with your peace of mind knowing that you see what you're getting. So, what payment options are available for families, including insurance assignments, pre-planning, financing? Could you walk us through all of those?
Yep. So anybody that does do pre-planning with us, we do put that money in Homesteaders Life Company, which is a life insurance policy. And then once you do prepay, you actually do lock in the price not to go up on you. And then there's a guarantee. I always say, and it sounds corny, but you know, pre-planning your own services is one of the best gifts you can ever give your family, whether you fund it or not. Having that plan where everybody knows what to do when the time comes is priceless. Funding it sure does help. Secondly, we would take cash, check, credit card, multiple credit cards if need be, and then we do offer financing. And as long as you have good credit, that financing option is 0% interest for 6 months. Obviously, if you don't go over or if you go over that 6 months, interest would be charged. But again, a good option for a family that might need it at the time.
Yeah, no, that's yeah. Again, if it's unexpected, it's something that you just a lot of times families don't just have that money in the bank. I know I personally don't have a, you
Yeah.
know, funeral fund sitting around, so I probably should, but they sounds like you have a lot of options to help families out.
And the other
Which
last
is
option sorry to interrupt you there, Mike, but
oh
we
no,
do
that's
do
perfect.
assignments of insurance as well. I think you had mentioned that. So if somebody does have a life insurance policy, it can pay out the portion directly to the funeral home, and then the beneficiary would get any of the excess of the fund. So we as the funeral home wouldn't necessarily have to get the whole policy, just depending on the face value of it. But again, a good option for families as well.
Oh, that's yeah, that's also an incredible relief knowing that it's something that they wouldn't have to think about or take care of. That's great. So the last thing I'm going to ask you for today, we've covered quite a bit in a short amount of time, but can you break down the main components of funeral costs, like professional service fees, facilities, transportation, merchandise? Just kind of give us a whole wrap up and rundown of everything we talked about today.
Yep, absolutely. So that would be kind of considered the professional fees and services. So again, you're going to see a wide range of exactly what the family does want and what they don't want. So those professional fees, if you're having a visitation the night before, if you're having a funeral the next day, if you're having private family viewing. So the wide range there of exactly we tailor it to fit the needs of the family. Here at Henderson's Funeral and Cremation Care, we kind of pride ourselves on really doing what the family wants. When it comes to that pricing, though, your question's kind of a loaded question because there could be a wide range of exactly what the family does or doesn't want. And again, you're going to see that with direct cremation in Des Moines to Des Moines funerals. There's going to be a wide range of that pricing just depending on what services that we need to perform, whether we're bringing the hearse, whether we need a van, whether we're having the limo, the Escalade, all of those with what's exactly going on with the service, or if we're just doing that direct cremation. So our professional services can vary a little bit, and it goes back to that general price list of what people do and what people don't want.
Oh, that's perfect. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for breaking down the costs because I know that that's a major concern in that time in any family's life. Um, so I appreciate the time that you took with me today. Again, um, this is from compassion to the conversation with Ryan Frederigill. I think next week we're going to be talking about the differences between cremation and traditional burial. So, Ryan, thanks for taking the time and really helping clear up a lot of people's questions and concerns about costs.
You're welcome, Mike. Good to see you. Take
Hey, I
care.
look forward to our next conversation.